Azteca Lucha is coming to Chicago. MLW has the event on May 11th. It's a fun time anytime Azteca comes up on MLW programming because it's not exactly an MLW show. It's more, I compare it to like a backdoor pilot when you have like a TV show do that,
Hmm.
where it still exists in continuity, but it's not exactly MLW. But it's also fun because it's like, it's an homage to Lucha Underground and sort of playing off of that vibe, but still very much MLW. Can you tell me about what your exact role is right now and just how the opportunity came about? I know you were originally brought on as a producer,
Hmm.
and you're still in that role?
Still.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I do have to backtrack a little though, because while there are a lot of CMLL talent on the roster, uh, a lot of it still is MLW.
Mhm.
Um, the the ability that they have, this connection that they have made between MLW and CMLL. Well, CMLL is like the longest running company in the world, that's still active.
Mhm.
So that in itself is huge. And then to have the stars that will be coming up and then performing and then being in front of the audience in Chicago, which is going to be very heavily Latino.
Mhm.
That's a huge proud moment that we're able to collaborate and work together. Obviously, there's still gonna be a taping, an MLW taping, that's gonna be involved, and that's gonna be predominantly MLW talent. So there's still gonna be a whole mixture of both entities coming together to produce
Mhm.
one great big product, so that we can obviously, showcase the ability that the power, drawing power that MLW does have, and as well as CMLL, which I mean, for an audience in Chicago who may have never seen some of these luchadors come up from Mexico,
Mhm.
because it's not common for them to come up this way, or especially that far north.
Yeah.
The last couple of times that I ever saw some of those names were down in Texas and in LA, like on the southern states. So for them to go up that north and then it's in a place like Chicago is amazing. Um, and it's such a proud moment because this is a story that has been developing for close to a year almost, between Selena de la Renta and Cesar Duran. They've been battling over ownership and power, and I'm grateful that I'm a part of Promociones Dorado with Selena de la Renta, and coming in literally in a couple of days, basically.
Mhm.
We're gonna put an end to it, and then Caesar can go back into his little underground hideout.
Yeah, I should have clarified that. Obviously, it's an MLW taping. There's going to be some MLW stuff, but some of the names you mentioned, Mystico on the card. He's defending the World Middleweight Championship against Barbario. I'm going to screw this up.
Barbero
Barbaro
Cavernario.
Cabenario.
Close enough.
uh,
Close.
A- Averno, Atlantis Jr., Ultimo Guerrero. Those are some of the names on the card. So I've heard Azteca Lucha compared to like it's the spiritual successor of Lucha Underground, but it's always a fun show because I find myself like I learn a lot about the current international talent, but also you find some of these callbacks to Lucha
Yeah,
Underground. But
absolutely. I mean, and obviously, having Cesar on the shows is because that's where a lot of the wrestling fans know him from. Obviously, Lucha Underground, and there's
mhm,
never going to be any denying of the success that Lucha Underground was, and then how different it was. So I don't think anybody's ever going to try and refute how awesome it was for the industry, because it
mhm.
was it was such an awesome product. Unfortunately, whatever the reasons may have been, it didn't work out, and it's an unfortunate deal, but that's where we're trying to take it to that next level,
Mhm.
and then mixing it up even more. What's nice about this, like you said, some of these stars that have not been on U.S. soil in a while, or like I said, that far north, and then mixing it up eventually too, because the more we can combine this partnership between MLW and CMLL, then there is gonna be like Sammy Callahan versus Mexico, Ricochet and Page versus Barbaric Cavernario. There's gonna be Jesus Rodriguez versus Atlantis maybe one day, who's a huge hero of mine, and then to be able to partner up with him come on the 11th is a huge honor.
Mhm.
So these are also dream matches that are coming along too, and then obviously with the partnership that MLW has had in the past with other countries and other companies, um, it's a good time to be in the industry.
Mhm.
And we've obviously seen something similar in other companies as well, where they have partnerships and they're able to work together, and then you have these matches that otherwise you never would have seen prior. So it's a good time to be in the industry, honestly.
Yeah. And I will talk about your match momentarily, but you sounded very sure that the Cesar and Selena battle is going to be over. So, I mean, there's some supernatural stuff that could happen. We thought she was dead for a while, so how sure are you that this is going to end on May 11th?
I mean, at this point in time, we look at the matches, and it's pretty gonna be. I mean, there may be a surprise here and there, but overall, I mean, like Caesar's going down. There's nothing that he has in his ability
Mm,
that can overpower anything that Selena de Renta. That's why she's la empresaria, and she's la jefa, la patrona.
mhm.
Uh, she's she's the man.
You're in six-man tag action this coming up next week. A lot of people know you for being an on-air personality, but it's ring announcing, you know, more talent, vote for your vocal talents than in-ring talents. And I know you've done, I'll get to some of the other things you've done in a moment, but how rewarding is it that you get to show your skills as an in-ring performer too? And as we mentioned before, you're working as a producer, but really getting a chance to show people that, you're a trained wrestler. You before you were paired with Alberto, you were a wrestler. Now you're getting that chance again. How rewarding is that?
It's a dream come true to be able to do this. 18 years later that I've been in this wacky world of pro wrestling, to have been in it that long consistently, and to have honestly, and I say this as humbly as possible, but like to have done it all in the sense of I've worn every hat possible,
Mhm.
and that has been available, and I'm very grateful for it because like I've been able to learn as much as I can from so many different people and different mindsets and different levels. So I'm proud that yeah, I was wrestling for 4 years on the independent scene. I started in lucha libre first, Mexican lucha libre, before I transitioned over to the American style or any other style. I was Mexican lucha libre in Los Angeles, California. I got signed 4 years into my career, and I was very grateful for that. And I got to spend the time that I did with WWE, and then learn again from the minds that I was able to. Um, when I left the company, I went to India. I opened up a school and I opened up a market in India that wasn't there before. There's an
Mhm.
independent scene there now. Some of those kids ended up being hired by WWE and then getting to the US. I got to do time in Australia, in England, in Germany. I did Mexico. I spent an entire year living in Cairo, Egypt, opening up a wrestling school. And then now to be here in the US, back for the last 2 years or so,
Mhm.
and have my own company and in my own school, and then take all those facets that I had experienced and learned throughout the years and apply it to this, and then apply it to my time now with MLW. That's good. It's a year now with
Mhm.
MLW. And it's almost going to be a year as a producer. Um, so it's a learning experience that just I'm continuously learning, and I'm grateful that every now and then I get a chance to begin the ring.
Mhm.
And then for me, honestly, this is rewarding because Atlantis was my very first childhood hero
Mhm.
when I was a kid. So now to team up with them is amazing and a dream come true.
Mhm. I wanted to talk about, you mentioned, you went over to India and Egypt, and I feel like there's a certain perception in the US as far as like the international scene goes.
Mm.
Can you sort of like, is it accurate when people think about international? Like, is it very isolated and you have to, you said you have to literally create it
Yeah.
as far as India. Is that accurate when we think like it's really isolated, or is it like a little bit bigger as far as popularity goes over there?
So no, I mean the popularity, the obviously because of companies like WWE that have been obviously they're global, they're
Mhm.
international. So the popularity is always there. The ability to be able to train properly and a place that has that kind of a knowledge
Yeah.
is rare because I think sometimes we forget how big the world really is and massive. In India, there was nothing. And India is a big country,
Hmm.
huge, massive country. So there was nothing there. Sure, there's been wrestling there, but there were people that are coming in from the outside to do an event and then they leave. But there was nothing that was there that was homegrown. So I got to spend 6 months in Jalandhar, India, under it was a great Kali's.
Hmm.
And but there was nothing else. There was nothing there. There was nothing in the country. And I got to build that. And then by the time that I left, I mean the what came after was very rewarding and very amazing. Like I said, there's an independency now because of all that time. And it's not to say because I didn't do this by myself. None of this is ever done by oneself. It's a group of
Hmm.
people. The folks that went after me, Daryl Sharma, who's the head ref over at NXT, Facade, who's international as well. So many other people that went after I went to keep it going, keep it building.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was very secluded and there was no other options. And that's the thing. And I think sometimes we take things for granted here in the US um, for what's available and what's there because they didn't have options over there. That was it
Hmm.
was it. That was it. Same thing in Egypt. There was no options. It was that either that or they go to Europe and then they train over there. So is it scarce? Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny to think about because Kali gets a lot of press, and sometimes it's a very sensationalized story.
Mm.
And we can see that. It's like, don't have any on hand, but it's like, because of his size, they're like, oh,
Good.
he was mobbed by these people, and you
Oh
see
yeah.
like
Oh.
him, and it's
So
very like there's that celebrity side of it, but it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
you talk about building on an independent level, it's like, oh yeah, there really is nothing. So like I
yeah.
feel like that contrast between the celebrity part and then the actual like independent part is very drastic, or at least it was before you
Well,
guys
up
did that.
until that point, he because I think when I went, I was 2015. I think is when I went.
Hmm.
I think he had just left WWE too, so obviously he still lived in the U.S. So when he left WWE, he went back to India, and then that's where I came around. So it's not like he was living in India. But his whole family was still there.
Hmm.
So when he left WWE, I think he still had a house. And I could be mistaken. I think Atlanta. I think.
Hmm.
Um, and either there or Texas. But he moved back to India, and that's where he opened up the academy and then brought me in and
Hmm.
did all that. But yeah, no. So and I mean, I wouldn't. I would definitely love to have Khalid come down to MLW one day. That would be, or even MLW go to India. Let's take this international, man.
There you go. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah.
I think so. They've gone. I think it was before pandemic, but I know they've gone to Mexico. So,
Yep. Oh yeah.
start going out more internationally. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
opposed
oh
to
yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah. And I mean, I know they're it's already been announced of MLW going to Australia. So right,
Hmm.
that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, One of the other things you're doing right now is Three Legacies. You're based out of Harrisburg or outside of it?
Close, Lancaster, Pennsylvania,
Okay.
so nearby Harrisburg.
Okay. I'm outside of Philadelphia, so like
Okay, cool.
I'm like Hershey and Lancaster and Harrisburg. It's like the same thing.
Yeah, basically, yeah, they're all
But
connected.
uh, how did you relocate to that area? Like why? Like, can you talk about some of the
It
things you have
was
going on at the school? Like any events coming up?
Oh yeah, no, and definitely like we've been operating for it's gonna be 2 years in September. We have sold out shows, or at least close to sold out shows.
Mhm.
We're averaging anywhere between 60 to 100 people at our events. It's very community friendly and very family friendly, and it's awesome to see an entire community get behind the product, and it's awesome. Actually, on May 18th at the next one, A Gift and a Curse, I have the MLW featherweight champ, Janai Kai, that's gonna be at the event. So I mean, having this again, just this brand that's coming together with outside sources is very crucial and important for the development of anything that we have going on. And I'm very proud again too of being in this position with LLW, that I'm able to still carry that name outward, and then being associated with such a great company.
I have a couple more questions for you. I wanted to look back a little bit. I do a watch list feature where I try to get match picks. Is there a match or moment that you would pick from your career that uh, you would sit people down and say, that's me, like that's sort of the best
Oh,
representation of my work?
oh that's
Whether it's as a wrestler or just one you were part of as a manager or on-screen talent.
that's a tough one. Obviously, I had. That's a tough one. I mean, I was Bret Hart's last match on TV,
Yep.
so I'm sure he's not proud of that. But I can tell you though that while my story has not been finished being written, on the 11th, this trios match that we're going to be having at Azteca Lucha, that's definitely going to be one of those that I'll be
Mhm.
very proud to share with people down the road in a sold out arena in Chicago. Man, that is awesome. And then to be able to continue this record of
Mhm.
in 2024 of MLW being sold out consistently, that to me, that's what my mind is on. That's what my set is on. That's where everything is headed in my head and on my road, is Azteca Lucha on the 11th of May in Chicago.
You've had a lot of great moments. Uh, you hold the Brett match in high regard. I'll take it. Where it is a badge of honor. You've had a tuxedo match. You've had mixed tag matches. I think there was a little moonlighting as El
Mm.
Local. Uh, 2012 Royal Rumble with the I'll call it the hoopty.
Yeah.
Uh, how did that come together? Like obviously it was a play off of Alberto's character, but
Yeah.
uh do you remember where they found the car or like how involved you were as far as like making that moment uh authentic to your character?
In short, in real short, it was Alberto was hurt and he was out with injury. So I was just kind of hanging out and I just kept joking about it because the Rumble was coming up. So I just kept I said it to Malenko a few times. I said it to Michael Hayes. I was like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if I come out in Alberto's car? And then just we would chuckle about it and just leave it. And then that day of the Rumble, I showed up and then the car's there. And then it just kind of went from there. And became a thing. But it all started out as me just joking around.
Mhm.
Uh, so
All right. Anything else you want to plug or promote? I know we talked uh
absolutely. Oh,
mail
plenty.
plenty. Go ahead.
Plenty. So I obviously, it's a sold out show. It's sold out. There's no more tickets available, but you can still check out Azteca Lucha on the 11th of May on Thriller TV. That's probably the only way at the moment to be able to check it out, especially later on with the replays. We have amazing, talented a roster of Místicos going to be defending his title. Ricochet Page, Sammy Callahan, Salina de la Renta, Cesar Duran. I mean, the lists are endless. And we're going to be returning back to Atlanta in June. We're going to be in Tampa in July and back in New York with MLW in August. And it's something that I want more people to be aware of because the names and the wrestlers that you may have not never heard of before are going to be
Mhm.
household names relatively soon. So definitely check it out.
All right. Yeah. Full schedule for MLW
Oh yeah.
throughout the summer. First things first, May 11th in Chicago in Cicero. And then I'll plug again Three Legacies. You said the show's on May 18th.
Yes.
Check that out if you're in
Central PA.
Central PA, Harrisburg, Hershey, Lancaster area. Thanks for your time, man. I really
Of
appreciate it.
course, absolutely. Thank you.